Hi everyone, my name is Siley and I'm one of the expert TOEFL teachers here at E2 Language. And today we are going to look at TOEFL Integrated Speaking, Task 2, Campus Situation. In this video lesson, I'll describe the task to you, I'll show you a sample question and a note-taking template to go with it. Finally, I'll show you how to use your notes to prepare your answer. And I'll give you some tips on how to ace this task. Let's get into it. For this task, you'll first be asked to read an announcement about a campus-related issue. Then, you'll be asked to listen to a conversation between two people who will be discussing the issue that you just read about. Finally, you'll be asked to summarize the opinion of one of the speakers. You'll also be expected to use the information from the reading to be able to contextualize the speaker's opinion. Now let's look at the time. So the reading passage that they give you is between 75 to 100 words, and you're given 45 to 50 seconds to read that passage. Then that passage disappears and the listening starts automatically. The listening is about 150 to 180 words long and lasts between 60 to 80 seconds. Finally, when you're asked to summarize the opinion of one of the speakers, you'll be given 30 seconds to prepare your answer and 60 seconds to speak. A timer on the screen will show you these times. Are you ready to look at the sample question? Here we go. So this is kind of what the reading passage will look like. Before we start reading, I want to show you my note-taking template. While you're reading, it is very important to take notes because the passage will disappear from the screen and you won't get to see it again before you answer the question. So if you take notes beforehand, this will not only guide your listening. When you're listening to the conversation, you'll sort of know what to look for and what some of the reasons might be. It'll also help you prepare your answer and organize it better if you know exactly what the reading was about. So there's basically 3 things that you need to note down, and the reading usually has the same structure. So this should be pretty easy and you should be able to figure this out pretty quickly if you practice it a few times. So the reading will usually start off by announcing some sort of a change that's going to happen on campus or some issue that's important to students. And this is something you want to note down. That's the first thing you want to put down. And then the reading will give you reasons for why this change has been made or why this issue is important. And there'll almost always be 2 reasons given for the change or the issue. All right, now I want you to read this passage and note down the change and the 2 reasons given for that change. You have 50 seconds to read the passage. Your time starts now. How did you go? Were you able to note down the change and the reasons for it? I'll show you my notes so you can compare. All right, this might be a little confusing for some of you, but basically what I've done is not written down full words, used a lot of abbreviations and symbols, and I've done this to basically save time because you only have 50 seconds in which you need to read and understand what's written in the passage, and you also want to take down some important notes. So, this is what my notes say. So, the issue or change being announced is that the university is going to restrict online storage. So, the first reason for it is because students have been sharing audio and video files, and the storage space was actually meant only for academic documents. And the second reason is because the constant uploading and downloading has sort of made the internet speed quite slow. And this is basically what my notes tell me. So when I look at my notes, I understand all of these things. And it's important that you understand your notes. Your notes will not be marked, they'll not be seen by the examiner. So don't worry too much about correct spelling or writing down complete words. Just make sure that you can understand the ideas that were in the reading just by looking at your notes. Okay? All right. Now let's listen to the conversation. Again, let me share my note-taking template with you first. So the conversation will always have two speakers. One would usually be a man and the other would be a woman. And at this point, you don't really know which person's opinion they are going to ask you about. So you will have to take notes about the opinion of both the speakers. So here in the left-hand column, I've got S1, which is basically speaker 1. And I want to note down their opinion, the reason for their opinion, and the second reason that they give for their opinion. Again, it'll almost always be structured this way, where the person will state their opinion, whether they agree or disagree with the new policy or the change that's been announced, and they'll give two reasons to support their opinion. And this is basically what we'll be asked to summarize. So make sure you note these things down for the first speaker and the second speaker. All right, hopefully you've copied down this note-taking template on your scratch pad and are ready to listen to the conversation now. Here we go.
Good. Maybe now the internet will run at a decent speed.
Good? What do you mean? They're restricting our online access.
Well, all the uploading and downloading of files has been taking up bandwidth and disrupting my usage of the internet. I've been trying to work on my computer science project on the internet in the dorms, but I can't get anything done because everything is so slow. Now students will stop abusing the storage space and start using it for what it was meant for.
Well, I guess some restrictions are okay, but they're limiting our space so much. I think I'm sharing like 1 or 2 gigs of files on my space. That's all of my research for my thesis. How am I going to fit it all into 50 megabytes?
I think 50 megabytes is plenty of room to share files with. This storage space was originally intended for students to share reports and projects with each other to make it easier to do group work and stuff. But now people are taking advantage of that by sharing music and movies and videos, so that those of us who actually need to use the internet for schoolwork can't.
I didn't realize it becomes such a problem.
How did you go? Were you able to catch the opinion of both the speakers? I'll show you my notes so you can compare. So what I've noted down is that speaker 1, which was the woman, thinks that this is good because the internet speed will go up. And she complains about not being able to get her project done because the internet speed was so slow. And then speaker 2, which was the guy, he says he's not very happy about it because they're restricting access and that's not quite fair. And then he says that they're limiting it too much and he can't really fit his entire thesis in those 50 MB that the university is offering them now. And the woman disagrees and says that 50 MB is enough only if students stop abusing the storage space. She sort of reiterates what the reading was saying, that it was initially created, the online storage space was created so that students could share group work, and it's not meant for sharing movies and audiovisual files. And that's just been something that students have been doing recently. And then the guy says he didn't know that it was so bad. So that was pretty much the entire conversation. And just by looking at my notes, I should be able to more or less recreate that conversation. Once the conversation is over, the question prompt will automatically show up on your screen, and the narrator, so there will be a narrator throughout the speaking section who will read the directions out for you and the question as well. Once the narrator has read out the question for you, then the 30 seconds preparation time will start. Here's our question prompt. The woman expresses her opinion about the university's decision to restrict the online storage space available to students. State her opinion and explain the reasons she gives for holding that opinion. Okay, so now we know that we need to focus on the woman's opinion, which is kind of easy, right? Because she did talk more and she did sort of elaborate on why she thinks it's a good thing. So let's look at our notes again and see how we can use them to make a sample answer. Your listening notes will pretty much guide your response. So you only need to think about the transition words that you're going to use and how you're going to showcase your language to the examiner. Your listening notes will mainly guide the structure of your answer. So we need to start off by explaining what the woman's opinion is and sort of contextualize it. So talk about she likes it or she dislikes it. What is it? So you need to summarize the issue, you need to state her opinion, and you need to give the reasons that she gives for holding that opinion. It might sound a little bit confusing, but I'll show you my sample answer and it'll all make sense. So I've got 60 seconds to speak. The woman is pleased with the university's move to limit the students' online storage space. She believes this will help improve the internet speed on campus. This is important to her because she has been struggling to get her project done because of the poor internet speed. She's of the opinion that 50 MB is a fair amount of storage space if students stop abusing it. She echoes the announcement put out by the university, claiming that the storage space was actually meant to facilitate sharing of academic documents for group assignments, projects, and such, and not for uploading and downloading large media files. Overall, the woman is very happy with the university's decision. Remember that your sample answer should be such that a person who's not read the announcement or listened to the conversation should still be able to understand what you're talking about. That's why it's important to use information from the reading and the conversation to explain what exactly is going on. Now that you've seen the sample answer, I want you to give it a go. Before you do that, here are some tips to help you out. Make sure you keep your notes well organized. These notes will help you structure your answer and make sure that you stay on topic and you're just answering the question and not sort of rambling on. To be able to take efficient notes, you need to avoid writing full words and sentences. Try and use abbreviations where you can, or just the first couple of letters of a word. Don't worry about spelling, use a lot of symbols. Come up with your own system of note-taking. Be sure that you're making the speaker's opinion very clear because this is what the question is asking you to do. So make sure that the opinion is clear and you've stated the right reasons for it. This is super important. Do not ever give your own opinion in task 2. They ask for your opinion in task 1, but task 2 is solely about summarizing someone else's opinion. So even if you're running out of time, it's better to use a concluding sentence rather than giving your own opinion. So make sure you don't do that because you will lose marks for it. So refrain from giving your own opinion. And my final tip is that practice makes perfect. So keep practicing and you'll see how this will help you improve over time. And my final tip is practice makes perfect. If you need access to practice materials, you can go to etlanguage.com where we have a whole bunch of resources for you. We have a Toefl course, which you can access for free. You have a mini mock test, which is basically a timed simulation of the real test. So once you're confident, you can put your skills to the test by taking the mini mock test. And if you feel like you need some extra help, you can book one-on-one tutorials with our expert teachers. You can also submit your writing and speaking for feedback. And you can access all of our live classes where we teach you note-taking skills. We work on your fluency, pronunciation, intonation, basically everything that the examiners are looking for in your answers. And be sure to subscribe, like, comment, and share.